John Middlekauff now joining me as he does from time to time. So it's interesting. I see all the GMs you talk to, but coaches, it's interesting. Some go, some don't. What's your take on that as a former NFL scout?
Yeah, it's not even some. I mean, it's a lot of the Shanahan crew, right? It's Kyle, it's Sean McVay, it's Matt LaFleur, Robert Saleh. I don't think was planning on going, and there were some articles written, and it feels like he kind of got forced into the deal. So I think it's pretty simple. If Tom Brady's working out and you're a quarterback, you should probably be working out. If Tiger Woods is hitting golf balls and you're trying to beat him on the golf course, you should probably be on the range. If Andy Reid is going to be at the combine, he's a back-to-back Super Bowl champ. He's been going to this thing for 40 years. And he told me, I talked to him for a long time. He said, the value in this is not the workouts for me anymore. We get that on tape. I'm not a doctor. I don't, the medical, I have nothing to do with. I simply go for, I think the number now is 45 interviews, that when Chris Jones or Trent McDuffie or whoever we like in the draft is walking through that door, I get 15 minutes. And it's my first interaction to meet a guy that my scouts have met throughout the fall, that I have loosely watched or have an idea because Veach has given me, but I get to interact. Remember that famous video of Pete Carroll a long time ago? Another guy, he's out of the league. He never missed this thing.
Yeah.
Took off his shirt with DK Metcalf. Those interactions are big. And I obviously the old school guys value them, and the new school guys, are in Cabo having a cocktail.
Yeah. So your overview of the combine, you hear the whispers. Guys are going out. They're having beers. They're having steaks. They're talking. People loosen up a little bit. What is the overview of the draft, especially in the first couple rounds, about the talent? What's good, what's not, what's under and overvalued?
Yeah, I think obviously the wide receiver class is very, very highly thought of. I think these quarterbacks are very intriguing. It reminds me a little bit. And again, there's a difference between the hype and the prospects coming into a draft and then how we view it. Remember, once upon a time, the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields draft and Mac Jones was viewed. All those guys got drafted high, but now we kind of laugh at it. But it was viewed as a really good quarterback draft. This quarterback draft obviously is there's much more substance behind it because all these guys have played in Power 5 for a long time, starters. But there are a lot of opinions out there. I mean, I was out having some cocktails with a bunch of scouts that do these regions. A guy that did the South, and it's just, you can't argue that Jaden Daniels is really, really talented, but would you feel really good about taking him number 2 overall? And that was, one thing you hear down there is the buzz about Washington potentially taking him 2 overall. Cliff Kingsbury, more of a spread offense. Drake May is a very, very intriguing prospect, though, when you watch him, and I did a couple of games, I don't really see it. But then this is what we talk about. When you meet him for the first time, the size, part of the draft too is projecting, right? So can I improve on the flaws that he had as an offensive coach, as a head coach, as an organization? And I think everyone, views Caleb as the 100% lock at number 1, and obviously the domino of Justin Fields. I think a lot of people think Atlanta, but right now and over the course of this week, there are a lot of secret meetings going on in hotel rooms. And until something is official, everyone's in the mix. And obviously there are a ton of teams that need quarterbacks. So to me, Justin Fields, there are going to be a lot of teams sniffing around. I think it's all about the value, right? How much is he going to actually get traded for?
So the Giants are a fascinating team, John, because they need perimeter weapons. But if Drake May falls, and every draft, we get a star that falls. We've seen Marino, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying Drake May's that, but there's a lot of talk about his inconsistency, and there's a lot of J.J. McCarthy fans. So let's say Drake May falls a little, 5 spots. Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, says he believes the Giants will take a quarterback and then sit him behind Daniel Jones. And I made the argument earlier, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, the only difference is one has a better offensive coach and has won 1 playoff game. They're the same guy. They're hurt too much. They're inaccurate. They run but get sacked a lot. It's weird. So my take is the Giants are a fascinating team. They need a receiver, but it's chock full, and I believe they have 2 second-round picks. There can be plenty of receivers. What is your guess? What did you hear about the Giants who, they're stuck with Daniel for a year, but after that, they can wiggle?
I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this organization not, obviously not the ownership, but the coach and the GM to be competitive this year, because this was a team that had back-to-back coaches not last 2 years each. So Brian Daboll, what just happened? Listen, how could you not? What happened 2 years ago to be competitive with a roster that was pretty average, but last year was a disaster. So you take a rookie quarterback. Washington is going to be better than they've been. And obviously the Eagles and the Cowboys, a lot is going on, but they're in a different universe than the Giants. So you take a quarterback really early. We'll see on Daniel Jones' health. Can you compete to go above 500? Because to me, if you have a season where you're winning 7 or less games, like John Mara has shown, they will move through coaches.
Yes.
So I think sometimes these head coaches, maybe he goes, listen, can we just get Daniel Jones back, play better, improve the talent around him? Like, I wonder if you're Brian Daboll, you don't want a rookie quarterback. You would rather try to hit on 3 or 4 guys throughout the draft and have much more talent, because you got to play the Eagles and the Cowboys 4 times. And like we all know, their rosters, the gap is really wide. And even Washington now is going to be much more a streamlined organization, high-level people. Everyone's on the same page, new ownership. It's going to be difficult. So I don't know. I could see the ownership and the organization thinking big picture, but I could see the head coach wanting position players that can help him win September 10th.
So J-Mac noted this earlier. So Caleb Williams, who I think we both like, but there's no perfect player out of college. He doesn't even want to do the physical at the combine. There's the fingernail thing. There's the jumping in the crowd with his mom and crying thing. It doesn't bother me. It's a different generation. I can get over that fast. I like him. I've met him 3 or 4 times. I like him a lot. But there is, you start nitpicking people, John. You're a former NFL scout, Philadelphia Eagles. You're looking for little things. And the more I read on Caleb, now he's not going to take the physical. Well, everybody does that. What do we make of that?
Well, the fingernail thing was, pretty embarrassing. There's no way around that. But that was 2 years ago. And then this year, he doesn't do it. Listen, we're guys. We mature at slower speeds. I watched him talk today about the medical stuff, because when I saw the headline on social media, I thought, oh, here we go. It feels very NBA-ish. And then I watched him talk, and he actually was – I thought he explained it pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm going to take full physicals with teams that I know are going to draft me. Once upon a time, Deion Sanders, I think it was like the New York Giants wanted him to take some cognitive tests. And he said, what pick do you have? Pick 9? You're not going to draft me. I actually don't think it's as weird. I do think it would have been a huge red flag if he says, under no circumstances, I'm going to get physical. But the way he said, I have no problem doing it to the Bears, to Washington, maybe to 2 or 3 teams that have a chance to trade up to get him. But like, why should the Raiders have his medical? That doesn't bother me as much. I think it's more intriguing about him as a prospect. Talking to scouts that have gone through there, they feel pretty good about him as a person. I think it's more about, can he play in the construct of an offense? Can the hero ball stuff, which he was forced to do at USC, can you rein it in a little bit? Part of Mahomes, and that's where he gets compared to a lot, like the raw tools and kind of reining it all in to become a complete player. Well, he got Andy Reid, right? He got to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not going to happen here. He's going to go to the Chicago Bears. So I think there's just going to be a ton of pressure on that organization. You and I have talked about this. What if they start 1-4? Their coach could get fired. But it doesn't seem like, Caleb's open to going there. And I think the physical tools are not debatable, right? The arm strength, the movement, his athleticism. But like you said, most people are not Andrew Luck, right? Which was the close to his can't misses I've ever seen in my life. This guy, like a lot of really good prospects, at quarterback, you're very dependent on so many things. Who's blocking for you? Who's playing wide receiver? Who's calling the plays? How good your defense is? What division you're in? What's your schedule? So it's a lot of things are out of his control, and you've hammered this for a long time. The Bears aren't exactly, team offense when it comes to a franchise.
Yeah. Finally, Justin Fields, a lot of rumors. I do think if you go into a season and you have a quarterback that is first or second best in a division, I'm going to pick you for a playoff possibility. You can't be the fourth best quarterback in a division. Well, Goff's better than him. Jordan Love's better than him. And if Kirk Cousins came back for 2 to 3 years, he's better. He'd be the fourth most consistent quarterback in a division. He goes to Atlanta. I think he's more talented than Derek Carr. He's in the class with Baker Mayfield. We don't know what Bryce Young is. I think Fields in Atlanta, I'd roll the dice if I was Atlanta. Good old line, nice weapons, home, dome, NFC still. What do you make of the Fields rumors? There's been a lot of smoke with Atlanta, and my take is maybe there's a secret team, but it feels right.
Yeah, everyone is putting him there. I talked to someone close to Kirk Cousins who I didn't see it, but I guess they put out a video of his rehab, which is going exceptionally well. He bought some product for a lot of money that he brought to his home. If Kirk Cousins is healthy, to me, Justin Fields is an afterthought if I'm a front office. I'm trying, if I'm Atlanta, obviously if I'm Minnesota, if I'm New England, before I trade any pick of value, which let's face it is probably going to be a second or third round pick for Justin Fields, a guy who struggles to throw in the pocket. If I'm Atlanta and I got these weapons, I'd be over Kirk Cousins. Now, the medical is a huge, obviously is a major point that you got to figure out, but I don't have to give up a draft pick. I just pay him a couple years, $60 million. The Saints did it last year with Derek Carr, and Kirk Cousins is a better player. So I get Justin Fields, really famous player, name gets you headlines on the internet. I think he's a pretty average player. And ultimately, because there's competition around this time of year, it drives up the price, right? So I would, if I'm Atlanta, I'm sniffing around Kirk Cousins before I'm given a third round pick or 2 threes or whatever it cost me to get for Justin Fields.
3 and Outs podcast, former scout, buddy, in the volume. You can hear him. You can hear him on our show occasionally. Just got back from the combine. John, good seeing you, buddy. We'll talk Sunday night.
Talk to you soon, Colin.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.